The snow fell heavily on Christmas Eve as Gabriel Hart opened his penthouse door to retrieve a package delivery. At 40 years old, he had built a financial consulting empire worth billions after his wife's death 5 years ago. His evenings were spent in solitude, reviewing reports in his glass tower overlooking the city, but instead of a package, he found a young woman standing in his doorway, holding a small boy bundled in a red jacket. She looked exhausted, her face pale and desperate. Snow clung to her brown hair and worn coat. "I'm so sorry to bother you," she said, her voice shaking, "but I saw your light on and I do not know where else to go. Can I stay here just for tonight? Please, just until morning." Gabriel stared at her, confused and cautious. "Who are you? How did you get past building security?" "I told them I was your guest. I lied. I am sorry." Tears streamed down her face. "But it is Christmas Eve and every shelter is full, and my son is so cold, and I just need somewhere safe for one night. I will leave at dawn. I promise." The little boy in her arms stirred, coughing weakly. He could not have been more than 3 years old, his cheeks flushed with fever. Gabriel's first instinct was to call security. This could be a scam, setup, anything. But something about the genuine desperation in the woman's eyes stopped him. "How did you end up here?" he asked, still blocking the doorway. "Our broke down 3 blocks away. I was trying to get to my sister's house upstate, but the engine died, and I do not have money for a tow truck or a hotel or anything. I walked around looking for help, but everywhere was closed or full, and then I saw your building, and I thought, maybe, just maybe, someone here would have mercy on us." She swayed slightly, clearly on the verge of collapse. "Please, not for me, for my son. He is sick, and he needs warmth." Gabriel looked at the child, who was shivering despite being bundled up. He thought about his own son, who was with Gabriel's parents tonight. He thought about how he would want someone to help if his child was sick and cold. He stepped aside. "Come in." The woman's relief was palpable. "Thank you. Oh my God, thank you so much." Once inside, Gabriel could see them properly in the light. The woman was perhaps 28, her clothes worn but clean. The boy had light brown hair and enormous eyes that watched Gabriel with feverish awareness. "I am Natalie," she said. "This is my son, Ethan. I promise we are not trying to scam you or rob you. I'm just a desperate mother who ran out of options." "I am Gabriel," he said, still wary, but already moving toward the linen closet. "Let me get you some blankets. And that child needs medicine. When did he last have anything for the fever?" "This morning. I ran out of children's fever medicine 2 days ago." Natalie's voice broke. "I am a terrible mother. I should have planned better, saved more money. Not let us get into this situation. You are asking for help when you need it," Gabriel said firmly. "That is not terrible parenting. That is survival." He pulled out his phone. "I am calling my doctor. He makes house calls." "I cannot afford a doctor visit," Natalie said quickly. "I did not ask if you could afford it. Your son needs medical attention." Over the next hour, Gabriel's private physician examined Ethan, diagnosed a respiratory infection, and provided medication. Gabriel made hot soup and set up the guest room with fresh sheets. Natalie tried multiple times to explain that they would leave soon, but Gabriel insisted they stay until morning at minimum. "You said you were going to your sister's house?" Gabriel asked as Natalie tucked Ethan into the guest bed. "She lives 3 hours upstate. I lost my apartment last month when my landlord raised the rent. I have been working 2 jobs, but it was not enough. And then I got sick and missed work, and they let me go. My sister offered to let us stay with her while I get back on my feet. Your car is still broken down 3 blocks away. I know. I will figure something out in the morning. Maybe find a mechanic who will let me pay in installments." Gabriel looked at this woman who had been dealt a terrible hand and was still fighting to protect her son. "Get some rest. We will deal with the car tomorrow." That night, Gabriel found himself checking on Natalie and Ethan multiple times. The boy's fever was coming down with the medicine, but Natalie barely slept, keeping watch over her son. "You should rest," Gabriel said around 2 in the morning, finding her sitting beside Ethan's bed. "He is doing better. I cannot. Every time I close my eyes, I think about what could have happened if you had not let us in. If we had spent the night outside in that cold with Ethan sick. She looked at Gabriel with tears in her eyes. Why did you help us? Most people would have called security. Gabriel was quiet for a moment. My wife died 5 years ago. Cancer. She left me with our son, who was 2 at the time. I remember how terrified I felt, trying to care for him alone. Feeling like I was failing every day. Your courage tonight walking up to a stranger's door and asking for help that took more strength than most people have. I did not feel courageous. I felt desperate. Sometimes they are the same thing. The next morning, Gabriel had Natalie's car towed to his personal mechanic. While it was being repaired, which would take 2 days, he insisted they stay with him. You do not have to do this, Natalie kept saying. I know I do not have to. I want to, Gabriel said. Ethan needs to recover fully before you travel 3 hours. And honestly, this penthouse has been too quiet for too long. Over those 2 days, something unexpected happened. Ethan, feeling better, became fast friends with Gabriel's son Marcus when Gabriel picked him up from his parents' house. The 2 boys played together while Natalie and Gabriel talked about loss, parenthood, fear, and hope. I have been so focused on survival that I forgot what it felt like to just be, Natalie admitted. To have a conversation with an adult, to laugh, to feel like maybe things might actually get better someday. They will get better, Gabriel said, and you do not have to do it alone. What do you mean? Gabriel took a breath. I have been living in isolation since my wife died, throwing myself into work, keeping everyone at arm's length, convincing myself that was enough. Then you knocked on my door asking for one night and reminded me what community looks like, what human connection feels like. He pulled out his phone. I have been making calls. I found you a job administrative position at one of my clients' companies. Good pay, benefits, stable hours. And I own several residential properties. One of them is a 2-bedroom apartment that sits empty. You and Ethan could live there. Ali stared at him. Gabriel, that is too much. I cannot accept. You can, and you will. Not because I am trying to save you, but because I can help, and therefore I should help. Because Ethan deserves stability, and you deserve a chance to rebuild without constantly fighting just to survive. Why are you really doing this? Natalie asked, her voice barely a whisper. Because you asked for one night and reminded me that the best things in life happen when we open our doors to people who need help. Because Marcus has not laughed this much since before his mother died. Because helping you has made me feel more alive than I have felt in 5 years. 3 months later, Natalie was thriving in her new job. Ethan and Marcus were inseparable, and Gabriel found himself spending more time at Natalie's apartment than his own penthouse. I came here with nothing, and you gave me everything, Natalie said one evening after the boys were asleep. You gave me something too, Gabriel said. You gave me back my humanity. You reminded me that success without compassion is just wealth. That opening your door literally and figuratively to people who need help is what makes life worth living. He took her hand. You asked for one night. What if I asked for forever? What if I asked you to marry me? Not because you need saving, but because you saved me. Because you showed me what courage looks like and reminded me how to be human again. Through her tears, Natalie nodded. Yes, but only if you promise to always remember that Christmas Eve when a desperate mother knocked on your door, and you chose kindness over caution. I will never forget, Gabriel promised. At their wedding, both boys were ring bearers. In his vows, Gabriel said, you asked if you could stay for just one night. I thought I was doing you a favor. Instead, you gave me back something I had lost, the ability to connect, to care, to open my life to someone who needed help. Thank you for knocking on my door and trusting me to answer. If this story reminded you that opening our doors changes lives, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about when asking for help led to something beautiful.